興味深いわね。
Hello, Kai. Welcome in. Congrats on first. Why? Hang on. Why is the game not being captured? Well, oh, there it is. Why'd that take so long? Hello, Tileflare. Welcome in. Congrats on second. And thank you, Kai and Tileflare, for your daily check-ins. I'm doing alright. I was just lazy all day. Partially because I went to bed way too late last night and then slept in quite a while this morning. Yeah. And then I thought I was going to have to make tacos. Not that I was going to eat any, but I thought I was going to have to make them for her, but she forgot to take the hamburger out. So I waited to stream for too long for no reason. But oh well. But I was just watching Markiplier play Subnautica. And those videos are like 9-8 years old. So it's really crazy to see how different Subnautica was back then. But now, we can get into the game. Into STEINS Gate. And I feel like the music's a bit loud. Because when I was watching the previous VOD, it was a bit loud. Okay. Interesting. What did you say? Didn't you hear me? I said it was interesting. You're not going to tell me you want to go, are you? I'd love to. I shouldn't have told you. I was standing in the middle of Ikebukuro with a smartphone in one hand, staring up at the sky. I'd been trying to talk to the Amadeus Kurisu as much as possible lately. Sometimes I would contact her, and sometimes Kurisu would contact me. It didn't feel any different than having a friend who lived in the real world. Talking on a smartphone in a crowded place like this was a little embarrassing, but I told myself that compared to the things I used to do, it was nothing. I'd chosen harmless topics for our discussion, but it still reminded me so much of talking to the old Kurisu that I sometimes forgot myself. I'd done that just now, when I accidentally told her about that lab. She had seized on it. So this lab you were talking about, did the original me ever go there?
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, that tells me nothing. Which is it? Never. Kurisu had been part of the lab in the Alpha worldline. In this worldline, she died before ever becoming a lab member. Of course, she'd never even known where it was. You seem to have the wrong idea, so let me straighten you out. We call it a lab, but it's not. It's just a group of people messing around. And Suzuha was living there right now, and Daru spent a lot of time there. If they found out about Kurisu, things could get complicated. I would prefer it if you finished your sentences. It's nothing. Either way, I want to see more of the outside world. All the times I've talked to Maho and the professor, it's been inside the lab. That's why I'm out here early on a Sunday morning, taking you around Ikebukuro. 10 o'clock a.m. Even at this hour, the area in front of Ikebukuro station was crowded. It was going to get even more crowded as it got closer to noon. I was willing to take you to Maiden's Road, if I had to. What's that? And there's a whole world there you know nothing about. Wait, I just looked it up. Are you really interested? But, of course not. Anyway, take me to this lab of yours today. Now that you've told me about it, you need to take responsibility. Got it? Oh, she really is like Kurisu. As soon as the original one heard about the lab, she also demanded. And then she hung up. It was like I was her own personal taxi service. Kurisu couldn't move around on her own, so there was no getting around that, but... She's so selfish. That was way too many S's. She didn't seem to think very highly of me. At this rate, she might start treating me worse than a servant. The real Kurisu was one thing. Or no, maybe it wasn't. But being treated that way by the artificial Kurisu was incredibly humiliating. Wouldn't it be a humiliation for all of humanity? Maybe I should do something about this. As I mumbled to myself. Huh? Ocarine? Mayuri called out to me. She was carrying a lot of bags. It was probably materials for one of her costumes. Hey, were you just talking to someone? Oh, Aliath, welcome in. Congrats on 3rd. And thank you for your daily check-in. That was a friend from my class at college. I see. So are you going to go meet them today, too? No, I don't have any plans for today. Are you going to work, Mayuri? Nope. I'm meeting Yuki at the lab. The lab? Was this good timing or bad timing? I know. Why don't you come with me? It's been so long. And you'll get to eat Yuki's home cooking. And Mayushi's gonna try hard to make something too. How about it? In the end, I went with her. You look really happy. Yep, I am happy. Mayuri had been smiling the whole time. But I was the opposite. The minute I got here, I was so nervous, I felt like I was about to throw up. I didn't really want to see Suzuha.
Huh? Oh,
God, I forgot about Tennoji. Oh no, I forgot about Tennoji. Hang on, let me drink some water. Are you okay, Okabe?
Oh.
Yeah. The door to the Brawn Tube workshop on the first floor opened, and out came the building's owner, Yugo Tennoji. Mr. Tennoji! Oh. Hey there. Wow. Aren't you cold in just a t-shirt? I'm pretty tough. When I'd been living in the lab, I'd given him the nickname Mr. Braun. It'd been a long time since I'd seen him. Okabe, from the look of it, you're actually making something of yourself at college. Thanks. Come to think of it, how are we handling the rent? I asked Mayuri instead of him. I used to give it directly to Noji, but... Hashida deposit the money when it's due. Don't worry. I see.
Oh?
Yeah. This man. Was he a rounder in this worldline too? Probably. There was no way I could ask him. I don't remember. I think it was just the basic female voice, wasn't it? There's too many characters, and especially there's way too many female characters. How did things go with Kurisu after that? No problems. I see. Anything you can tell me, no matter how small, would be a help. That she's interested in Maiden's Road, maybe? What's that? A place where a whole world you know nothing about exists. Wait, I'll look it up. Bad idea. That darkness is very deep. Why are you saying that? That sounds like something, Kiyoma would say. If there's anything that seems off, I'll let you know. Would you? I know it's a lot of trouble. Please and thank you. Okay. There was no way I could ask him. I couldn't help but be wary of him. That's why I started to put some distance between us. If nothing else, I'd avoided trying to interact with him. Bye now. Don't cause too much trouble. Tenoji saw that I'd gone silent and went back inside. Mayuri looked over at me with a worried expression. You okay? Sure you don't want to go home? Let's go. Tenoji didn't matter. What mattered was, why was I here? Did I feel like something needed to change? Or did I really want to show Kurisu the lab? I went up the stairs, still unsure of the answer. Mayuri went in first. Sorry, Yuki. I'm a little late. Hey there, Mayuri. I peeked inside the room. Daru and Yuki were there. Their eyes went wide when they saw me. I see Okabe is with you. Oh, Okarin. It's been forever, man. Oh, yeah, it has. I quickly scanned the room. There was no sign of Suzuha. Part of me was a little relieved. Can I come in? It's your own lab, dude. Don't ask that. That's true, I guess. I don't think I can call Kurisu right now. followed Mayuri to the lab and tried to relax my legs by sitting on the couch. But I didn't feel relaxed at all. It felt like my own skin was crawling. I glanced over at Yuki. She looks way better without the hat and scarf. She always wore her hat in the first game too, but honestly she looks way better without a hat. That outfit's so cute, Yuki. I wore it because I wanted to hear you say that. That's so nice. Miyushi wants to wear it too. You want to switch outfits later? Would I be the right size? I'd heard about Yuki's future from Suzuha too. I still couldn't believe someone this pretty was going to marry Daru. Even Daru seemed to share that opinion. That's how much of a miracle it was. I don't want to ignore her, but I want to see him finish his sentence. Yuki and Suzuha really did look similar. There was no doubt that she was Suzuha's mother. But still, Daru seemed to be having trouble with her. He'd send lots of messages complaining about how he didn't know how to deal with it. Were things perhaps starting to go wrong? If the world lines converged, the two of them were going to marry no matter what. I ignored Kurisu's call. The hell you did. I was sure she'd complain later, but there was some things I just couldn't help. I couldn't see the word I. Yeah, I don't think so. We'll save that to 3. But I'm going back. What the? I figured you would have reached the lab by now. I ran into the development room in the back, clutching my smartphone. We're gonna run into Suzuha too. You've got a lot of free time, don't you? Why are you lowering your voice? Do you not want your friends to know about me? Of course not. I hadn't even checked with Maho and Dr. Leskinen to see if it was okay to tell other people about Amadeus. Well, that's fine. I can figure out what's going on. Kurisu lowered her voice as well. Just give me a little look around the room. All you have to do is hold the camera up. Sheesh. I sighed and held the smartphone up to my chest. I spun around once, like I was taking a video with my camera. Filthy. Rude. And that's your first impression? Sorry. I'll try that again. It's full of junk. That wasn't much better. It was better, just not by much. Well, it was true. I know labs are never clean, but this is especially bad. It's about as bad as Maho's hotel room. I don't think she wanted you to tell anyone that, especially not us. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is it okay to share her private information like that? You should tell her to clean her room too. Damn, you just tell it like it is, don't you?
そんなこと言ったら噛みつかれそうだ。
She'd bite my head off if I did that. But, still. Kurisu paused and smiled. I kind of always wanted to have a shared room like this. So is that why you hung out here so much? It must be pretty nice there if there are all these people here.
クリス。
Kurisu. Yeah. Kurisu, in the Alpha worldline. You said the same thing.
お前は
You really...
本当は
おじさん、誰と話してるの？
Uncle, who are you talking to? Jump scare. I suddenly heard a girl's voice from under the desk, and was so surprised I screamed. Who's there?
黙って。
Shh! Be quiet. Huh? Is that you, Suzuha? Was she hiding? But why? Daru, Mayuri, and Yuki heard me scream and ran over to see what the problem was.
オカリン、どうしたの？
Ocarine, what's wrong?
あれ、そこにいるの？
Huh?
鈴葉さん？
Is that Suzuha?
あっちゃ。
Uh-oh. Suzuha looked upset. It was only then I realized who she was hiding from. And now, for our next story. Yasukaza Komazawa, a member of the Diet's House of Representatives, held a press conference today at 10 o'clock a.m. to announce his resignation after accepting illegal donations from corporations. Someone had left the TV on, and it was playing the afternoon news. Suzuha knew no one was watching it, but she used the remote to turn the volume up anyway. She wanted to keep the girls in the shower room from hearing us. I could hear Mayuri and Yuki laughing from the shower. Things had gotten really awkward when Yuki had found Suzuha, but Mayuri quickly came up with a plan. At first, her plan was for the three of them, including Suzuha, to shower naked together and hopefully get Yuki and Suzuha more comfortable around each other. But Suzuha said that the shower room was too small for three people and refused.
参ったな。
Well, this is a problem. Suzuha was staring up at the ceiling. It's not your fault, Suzuha. It's Okarine's. It's your fault for not telling me about her earlier. There wasn't time. Anyway, you were mumbling into your smartphone back there. What were you doing?
それは
I was... well...
誰かと話してたよね。
You were talking to somebody, weren't you?
そういうアプリがあって
I got this new app, and I was trying it out. Oh? A girl game one? So you've gotten into those, huh? I can give you my list of recommended apps later then. Thanks. I guess I'd managed to fool them about Amadeus.
何にせよ、私が迂闊だった
In
よ。
any event, it was my screw up. Sorry for
さっ
scaring
き
you.
は驚かせてご。
そもそも彼女から隠
Why
れ
do
る
you need
必要
to
がある
hide from her, anyway?
すでにダルの妹で通ってい
You've
る
already
んだ
told her you're Daru's sister.
こそこそする方が
Hiding just makes you look
楽に
more
は
suspicious. Suzuha tried to avoid Yuki to begin with. Just meeting her father was enough to potentially cause a time paradox, she said. And that chance went up even more if she'd met her mother. But Yuki had found her before long, and Suzuha had been forced to say she was Daru's little sister. Yuki believed it, so why make things any more complicated?
そうなんだけど、
Sure, but Mom wants to be friends with me more than I thought she would. If I talk to her too much, I might slip up. If you see someone who's just like you, you either hate them or take an interest in them, I bet. And Yuki Amane was the latter. It'd be much easier if she hated me. You could just tell her, or maybe not. Right now, only a few people knew that Suzuha was a time traveler. Me, Daru, Mayuri, and Ferris. That was all. Wait, do we have to explain anything at all? Huh? Amaneshi isn't really the type to pry. You should know that, right, Suzuha? You're right. She wasn't like that in the future. Then what's the problem? When the time comes, I'll explain it to her. Really? Yeah. Fine. I'll leave it to you. Suzuha nodded. So from now on, you can stop trying to avoid Amaneshi. I don't know if I can do that without screwing up. It'll be fine. I don't know if you're one to talk, though. Look how awkward you were with her. I'm not the problem here. And then the conversation came to a halt, which meant we started thinking about the voices coming from the shower room. Oh, there he goes. And so... Daru opened his mouth. Perhaps he couldn't take it anymore. Can I go watch Nico live streaming? There's a Bloodtoon stream on right now. You're going to do it even if I tell you no, right? Yep. Then go ahead. Suzuha sighed, and Daru sat in front of the PC and put his headphones on. What is it, Uncle?
Yeah.
I was just thinking about how well you got along with your dad. Really? Yeah. Daru was like this in the future, wasn't he? He was thinner and cooler. I can't even imagine. I mean, I can, since she didn't recognize him at first. And the conversation died again. There were a ton of things I needed to talk to Suzuha about. But that was why I couldn't say a word. Maybe it was the same for her. Since there was nothing else to do, Suzuha and I turned back to the TV. The news was still on. The opening event for the French fashion brand La Paris, Paradis, was held in Ginza this morning. As the newscaster spoke, I could see over 100 women lined up in front of a store. It's so peaceful, isn't it? By the time I was old enough to remember anything, this was all gone. On the TV, a girl in a pretty outfit was talking to an interviewer. I'm jealous. They don't have to kill anyone, and nobody's gonna kill them. In the world I grew up in, you had to kill without mercy, no matter if they were a man or a woman. Your life could end at any moment. That terror was with you every second of every day. The only way to forget the terror was to give yourself over to the madness and become one of the killers. That was war. That was Suzuha's life. I'd been to many nightmarish worldlines, but none of them were that bad. My dad's work on the time machine got him branded a rebel. Daru had made the time machine that brought Suzuha here. It was far more powerful than the one that existed in the Alpha worldline. I left the military to join him and his group, and the police and peacekeeping squads came after me. The battles after that were worse. There were a lot of them. I don't want to use the phrase fighting the good fight. I killed a lot of people and lost many of my friends and comrades. One of them was my mother. Daru was still staring at the computer screen, but I could see him twitch. He must have been listening to Suzuha while he pretended to look at the screen. She tried to protect me from one of the army's drones and was gunned down. And this was the first time I heard how Yuki Amane died. She was in the next room right now, having fun in the shower. And that was how she was going to die? Hello Shoujo, welcome in. Thanks for the alert. I hope you're doing good today. And thank you for your daily check-in. I saw her ripped apart with my own eyes. Her warm blood splattered all over me. Maybe the reason Suzuha didn't want to talk to her mother in 2010 was that she didn't want her asking about the future. There was no way Suzuha could tell her that. Listen, Uncle. At some point, Suzuha's eyes had started to overflow with tears. This world can only go to one place. Hell. It doesn't have to be right now. There's still a little time, I think. So, just think about it again, please. Because she wants us to go back in time and try to change things. And we don't want to after getting scarred. After we were the ones that killed Kurisu. Please. I knew it. In my mind, I knew it. The right thing to do was to do as she asked. But... Yep, that's us killing Kurisu. I don't want to die. The sensation I felt when the knife slipped into her flesh, and I took the life of the girl I loved. It went from my hand to my arm, and then to the rest of my body, and I started shaking. My vision blurred, then almost went black. Well, we got PTSD. My hands went to my mouth. There was a wave of pain, like my stomach was turning inside out. Uncle? Are you okay, Okarin? Yeah. Sorry. Suzuha poured me a cup of water, and I gulped it down. Sorry. It was too early to talk about this. No. It's nothing. I'm fine. I sank into the sofa and tried to calm down. I know what you want to say, and how you feel. But I've gone through so many world lines. I've seen people in other world lines have their fates toyed with by the time machine. I looked straight into Suzuha's eyes. I've seen your own tragic end. I need water.
何もかも無力だってことを知った。
And I've realized that I'm powerless to do anything. Humanity was powerless before the laws of this world.
タイムマシンを使って世界線を改変するのはこの宇宙の仕組みから逸脱することだ。
Using the time machine to change the worldline means breaking the rules of the universe.
俺たち人間が手を出していい領域じゃない。
It's not the province of humanity.
いわば神の領分なんだ。
You could say it's the province of God.
それに触れれば
If we try, we'll suffer an even more horrible punishment.
残酷な罰を受け、俺はそう思う。
That's what I think.
それがオカリンおじさんの答え
Is
な
that
の。
your answer, Uncle Ocarin?
少なくとも今はな。
For now, if nothing else.
そう。
I see.
ただの逃げだとなじって
Feel free to tell me I'm just running away.
うん。そんな
No,
ことしないよ。
I won't do that. Suzuha looked up at the ceiling and sighed. That must have been a habit she'd picked up lately.
続いてのニュースです。
And now, our next top story.
厚生労働省は
The Ministry of Health announced that there have been no reported cases in Japan of the new form of...
今のところ
I have no idea how to say
日本
that.
国内での発症例は報告されていないと発表しました。
Encephalitis? Obviously, the PH is a F. Phalitis? I'll go with phalitis, I guess. Encephalitis? That is ravaging America.
ただ、この新型脳炎は
But this new virus has a long incubation period. They cannot deny the possibility that it has already arrived in Japan.
感染症法に基づき The
ministry has ordered all medical organizations in the country to draw up treatment plans and investigate the virus's spread. We're here with Soko Haruyama of Ochanomizu Medical University. So, Ms. Haruyama, what sort of symptoms does this new encephalitis cause? The new virus does not spread easily, but it has a long incubation period and appears without warning. The main symptoms are hallucinations and memory problems. For example, you think you were at work and suddenly you find yourself at home, or you have memories of meeting someone you've never met. There have been reports of that. Isn't that just them remembering stuff from the other world lines? Because at the end of the first game, we realized, or at least Okabe realized, that everyone had this ability. Not just him with the whole reading Steiner thing, where he was able to remember all the world lines. For him, it's just stronger or something, because he can always remember it, whereas other people, it took some work to be able to remember. But I guess they're starting to remember it here? Also, memories can be confused. You might have memories of events that never occurred. Yeah, I think that is what this is. You lose the ability to tell the difference between dreams and reality, or perhaps your sense of the passage of time. In some cases, your memories will no longer match those of the people around you. You could describe it as similar to déjà vu, or even the feeling you get when you're only half awake. But the symptoms are far more pronounced than that. What about treatment methods? Unlike other forms of encephalitis, we know that with proper treatment, a full recovery is possible. So even if we do see some cases in Japan, it's not a matter for serious concern. The reporter was still talking, but I couldn't hear what she was saying. The information I just heard was that shocking. A new kind of encephalitis? I knew the symptoms she was describing. Losing the ability to discriminate between dreams and reality. Losing your sense of the passage of time. Your memories no longer match those of the people around you. That was exactly the same as reading Steiner. Oh, going back. So this is the little girl we've met in the first stream of this game. Kagari. A new character from this game. The interior of the time machine smelled like metal, and was covered in instruments of different sizes. The girl inside was sobbing. It had been almost an hour since Suzuha had left to go look around. She'd assumed that Kagari would stop crying by then, but she had no such luck.
いつまで泣いてるつもりだ。
How long are you going to keep crying?
しっかりしなきゃダメだ。まゆ姉さん
You
の
need to
気
get
持
it
ちを
together.
考えろ。
Think about how big sis Mayu felt. Shiina looked up at Suzuha, her face wet with tears. Mommy?
だから泣くんじゃない。
So don't cry. It's annoying. But... Suzuha walked over to Kagari and knelt down, so they'd be at eye level. She had no intention of spoiling her. Her goal was to save billions of lives, and this was her first mission.
いいか？これからは
Listen,
かがりも
from now on,
ワルキューレ
I'm
の
treating
一
you
員
as
と
a
みなす。
member of Valkyrie. You
私
work
の
for
部下
me,
として扱
and
う。
you're not a civilian.
非戦闘員、ここは1975年だ。
This is the year
知
1975.
ってる人間は
Nobody we
誰
know
もい
is
ない。
alive here.
父さ
Dad
ん
and
も
Big
まゆ
Six
姉さんも
Mayu
出生して
haven't
な
been
い。
born yet.
つまり、
In other words,
誰
there's
も
no
守
one to
ってくれ
protect
ないん
us.
だ。自分の身を守るのは自分だけだと思え。
The only one who can protect you is yourself. Got it? Yeah. Kagari was a brave girl, and she finally realized that now wasn't the time for tears. She tried to stop crying. It wasn't working well, but it was a lot better for her emotions than sobbing. She was a smart girl. Suzuha knew that.
あまり時間がない。
There's
こ
not a
の
lot
時
of
代の人
time.
間にタイムマ
If
シン
someone
を
from
見
this
つかった
era
ら大
finds the
騒
time
ぎだ。
machine, it'll cause a big commotion. The machine had landed on the roof of the radio building, which wasn't a spot that people visited often. The chances of anyone finding it were slim. But in this era, they had no one to help them conceal it. That meant they couldn't stay long. She needed to finish her mission quickly and move to the next time period.
何か失敗したら
If something
ま
goes
たタ
wrong,
イムマシンで時
can't
間
we
を
just use the time machine to
戻
come
れば
back?
いいんじゃないの？燃料の問題があるんだ。
There's not enough fuel.
ジャンプで
We
きる
can't
回数
jump
は
an
無限じゃ
infinite
ない。
number of times.
肝心の場面で
If it
動作
won't
しな
work
か
when
っ
it
た
really
ら
counts,
話になら
then
ない。
this is all for nothing.
そうなんだ。
I see.
立てるか？
Can you stand up? Suzuha stepped out of the time machine and beckoned to Kagari. That red hair is questionable. Kagari looked surprised. Her eyes were narrowed at the bright sunlight. The sky above Tokyo in this time period was too dirty to be called blue. Smoke and dust clouds filled with who knew what were rising from the rows of smokestacks. It all combined with black exhaust from the cars that scurried along the ground to create a smog so thick you could literally see it. The sky above the city was covered by a veil of death. But still, It was the first clear sky that Kagari had ever seen. She'd only ever known from books and videos that the sky could be this bright. The nuclear weapons used during the Third World War had changed the weather over Tokyo, and their sky was constantly covered in dull gray clouds. The sun's light was always weak when it shone through them, and it was never this bright.
私が子供の頃は
When I was a kid,
こんな感じの
the
空だ
sky
っ
was still like this.
た。少し
I
だ
don't
けど
remember
覚
much,
えてるよ。
but I remember a little. Suzuha looked up at the sky too.
空気が美味しい。
The air is so clean. In 2036, you needed a filter and a mask to go outside for any length of time. Compared to that, 1975 was a lot cleaner.
わかるだろかがり。
Now you understand why everyone was willing to risk it all to change the world line,
どう
right,
して世界
Kagari?
線の改変に全てをかけて世界線がどうとか歴史がどうとか
The world lines,
そんな理屈は後でいい。
you can worry about that stuff
今
later.
はただ
For now, just
この
focus on
空の色を
protecting the
守りた
sky.
いと思えば
Kagari slipped her hand into her pocket and took out the faded green Uppa keychain. She stared at it with a sad look on her face. She was probably thinking about Mayuri, her mother. And she was probably trying to understand what it meant that her mother had put her inside the time machine. Suzuha decided that Kagari was all right now and closed the hatch on the time machine from the outside. The lock flipped on automatically. The only person who could open it now was Suzuha, whose biometrics had been loaded into the system ahead of time. Even if someone did find the machine, it would be a while before they found out what it was.
かがりこれを見ろ。
Kagari, look at this. Suzuha handed her a printout of a photo.
これ何
What is this?
IBN5100 っていうレトロ
A
PC
retro
だ。
What? I am tripping on all my words. A retro PC called the IBN 5100.
私たちの時代に存在していた
None of
も
the
のは
ones in our time still worked, but here, we should be able to find a working one.
これを手分けして探すのが
Our first mission
私と
is to
お前
split
の
up and find
最
it.
初のみ
Yeah,
連絡はこれで
we can communicate with this. She handed Kagari a small transceiver.
通信できる距離はかなり短いらしいから気休
I
め
was
程
told
度
it
だと
doesn't
思
have a
う
very long range, so don't expect too much from it.
大
Okie dokie.
90分ごとにこのビルの前に
We'll meet
集
in
合
front of this building every 90 minutes for a
そ
status
れを繰り
report.
返す
Got it?
いいな大きいドキ
I don't really have to repeat that.
いい返事だ
Good answer. Suzuha nodded and patted Kagari on the head.
よしミッション開始
Okay, let's get started. Suzuha was on top of the radio building in 2010, looking down.
35年か
35 years, huh? That's how long ago it had been in real time since she'd spoken to Kagari here. From her perspective, it had only been a few months. The view from up here had changed a lot since then, and in the next 26 years it would change even more. She'd seen for herself how this building changed over a span of 61 years. The thought didn't make her feel sentimental. Instead, she felt the loneliness and fear that comes from having a past not shared with anyone else. Using the time machine to change the world line means breaking the rules of the universe. Rentaro Okabe's words flashed through her mind. Still, lately, She had been thinking more about Kagari. She'd been searching the city at regular intervals. She was looking for Kagari Shiina. She didn't even know if she was in Tokyo. She had no clues. She didn't even know what Kagari looked like now. It's not gonna somehow be the mother, right? So maybe it was a waste of time. Even so, she had to find Kagari herself. But she hadn't had any better luck today. She turned around and looked toward the time machine. She would come here every day. Her primary reason for coming was to see if her father, Hitaru Hashida, had been here. Anytime she let her guard down, he would come to try to examine it. She told him it would cause a time paradox, but he didn't listen. She needed to keep constant watch. To be honest, she had a lot of things she had to do. And then she heard the metal door to the roof open. Was it her dad? She squinted into the darkness, but the person she saw was much smaller than Itaru, and had cat ears coming out of their head. Cat ears? Faris? Why are you here? Meow, there you are. Suzu-nya, good evening. Oh, it's you, big sis Rumi. Oh god, Nyan. Faris Nyan had a spring in her step as she approached Suzuha. Who's Rumi? I'm Faris, Nya. Your big sis Rumi. Faris's real name was Rumiho Akiha. She was Daru's friend, and had helped them in many different ways in 2036. So Suzuha had known her ever since she was very young, and had always called her Big Sis Rumi. For whatever reason, in this era, she always wanted to be called Faris, though. When Suzuha asked why, she simply responded, Faris is Faris, nya? An answer which meant nothing to Suzuha. Nobody was in the lab, so I thought you might be here. Yes, I was right. Here, I brought you a snack. It's leftovers, though. Faris showed her a cake box with the logo from the maid cafe where she worked. May Queen Nyan Squared. I'm glad Dad wasn't at the lab. If he ate something like that at this hour, he'd get even fatter. It's not for Daru-nyan. It's for you. For me? Why? Yeah, you know you love it. Faris grinned and nudged Suzuha in the side with her elbow. I don't. There's an apple tart, a Mont Blanc, and a piece of strawberry shortcake, too. See? Doesn't it look good, nya? Faris opened up the box and showed her what was inside. Suzuha could smell the sweet cream and fruit. Come on, eat up! Don't worry about a thing, nya. Gah. Open wide. I'll feed it right into your cute little meow. I'll put it in the fridge for tomorrow. You're such a stoic, Suzu-nyan. Faris laughed and handed over the box. They expire tomorrow, so make sure you eat up before they do, nya. Thanks. You're welcome. Faris gave her a mischievous wink and looked up at the time machine beside them. How's Daronian's time machine research going? He's working hard, I guess. Big Sis Rumi, is it okay to leave this machine here? Suzuha looked around the roof as she asked. It was solely thanks to Faris that no one had really noticed the massive object on the roof. She was the heir to a rich family that had a lot of influence in this area and had contributed a lot to the development of Akihabara. She was helping to hide the time machine. Yep, I've rented out this whole floor, or roof, I guess. It's fine, yeah? I told the owner that we're developing a VR game. It's not the best excuse in the world, but it works. It's a huge help. Don't worry about it. I'm always ready to help save the world's elementals from the Bakihi? Yeah? Right. Since many years ago, well, I guess many years in the future, I've been wondering, but sometimes what you say is really hard to understand. What language is that? It's Nyan language. Don't think, Nya. Feel. Oh, come on. It's so cold. I think I'm going home, Nya. In the end, she never could get an answer. To Suzuha, Faris was always a great mystery. So clearly she stopped talking like this in the future. I'll walk you home. Let's go together. Yeah? Then you can have dinner at my place too. That wasn't what I mean. I almost meowed. That wasn't what I meant. You never eat any real food, do you? Whenever I see how stoic you are, I always feel like I have to do something, yeah? Like a protective or motherly feeling. It stirs something like that within me. I'm just fine. Before she finished her sentence, she felt someone looking at her. She glanced around. Meow? What is it? Shh. She listened carefully. She definitely heard a very faint sound from the direction of the metal door that led to the stairs. It was small enough that Suzuha was only able to notice it because of her training. Someone's there. Meow meow? They probably heard us. Most of the discussion was worthless, but they talked about the time machine a little. If someone heard that... Might be Daru. Suzuha yanked her gun out of her jacket, and in an instant, ran towards the stairs as fast as she could. She heard someone running down the stairs as soon as she did. The sound, heavy military boots in a wide stride, got further and further away. Oh, that's not good. Is it, Kiryu? They're fast. She opened up the door and jumped onto the landing. Then she raced down the stairs, skipping 3 steps with every stride. But still, it wasn't fast enough. Suzuha was born fast, and she'd been trained to be faster, but it wasn't enough. When she finally made it to the 2nd floor, she could hear the loud revving of a motorcycle. Well, that definitely sounds like Kiryu. Oh no. She panicked and slipped on an object that had been left halfway up the stairs, then rolled her way to the bottom. She managed to get into the right position and protect her head, so it was her hips that struck the ground. That's still gonna hurt a lot. She forced herself to stand up and run outside. She could see the taillights of a large motorcycle speeding away. The driver was wearing a black helmet and riding suit, yep, it is, and already a good distance away, so she couldn't even tell if they were a man or woman. It's a woman. They revved their engine loudly, as if to mock her, and then spun a corner and disappeared onto Center Street. A little later, Faris caught up. Are you okay, Nya? They got away. You should put that away, Nya. Oh. She put the gun in her hands back in her jacket holster and brushed away her hair that sweat had struck. She put the gun in her hands back in her jacket holster. She brushed away hair that sweat had stuck to her brow. Who was that, Nya? I don't know, but they weren't a civilian. They'd been trained. Trained? Was there anything on the stairs? A bag, Nya. It was right where I couldn't see it. They probably dropped it deliberately, and they revved their engine right when I was coming by it. I fell for it. You mean it was a trap, Nya? Only someone with special training could do that on a moment's notice. No one else could. Moeka. Suzuha glared in the direction the bike disappeared and started to think. Who was it? Saren? Yeah, indirectly. Rounder. There was an unofficial Saren group, the Rounders, that were searching for IBN 5100s in Akihabara. Rentaro Okabe had told her that. But he'd only encountered them in another world line. Right, so she doesn't know. I don't know who it was, but it's clear that someone other than us knows about the time machine. Was it that they knew about it, but weren't going to do anything more? Or did they intend to steal the time machine from her? Since she didn't know, she had to assume the worst, or she wouldn't be prepared to deal with it. She looked up to the sky and sighed. It was becoming a bad habit. Hey, Big Sis Rumi, don't tell Uncle Okurin and the others, okay? Meow, why? If Uncle Okurin knew about it, he might say it was too dangerous and that we had to destroy the time machine, you know? That's not true. I said it wrong. That's true, but I'm going to protect the time machine, no matter what. I need to take Uncle Okurin to the entrance to Steins Gate. That was the promise I made to my dad, and to all the people who sent me here. Suzu-nyan? Alright, Nya. In exchange, just make sure you tell Daro-nyan. The last part was almost a whisper as her words melted into Akihabara's sky. Well, we're doing Maho now. I haven't noticed a chapter change. Do they not have chapters anymore? No, it's still the closed thing. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Maho Hiajo was fidgeting. She knew exactly why, but she didn't want to admit it.
Maho, 準備はできたかい?
Maho, are you ready? Oh, yeah. She awkwardly stood up from the chair as Dr. Leskinen spoke to her. Hmm?
何ですか?
What? I had thought you'd put some more effort into it, but I guess not. Dr. Leskinen stared at her for a moment, and then spoke. It was obvious he was referring to her outfit. I'm not going to a party like I was last time. You wore your lab coat to that too. That was because I forgot my clothes. That's right. Dr. Leskinen was wearing his translator all the time these days. In fact, he had actually told Maho to talk to him in Japanese. Now then, I can't wait to see what kind of relationship Rintaro and Kurisu have established. Maho and Dr. Leskinen were about to head into Tokyo proper. There, they were to meet Rintaro Okabe. It had been 2 weeks since they'd first asked him to test Amadeus. It was time for the first report. Of course, that was the reason Maho was fidgeting. She was nervous to meet Okabe. No, to see Kurisu for the first time in quite a while. Of course, Maho was able to talk to Kurisu anytime she wanted. But since she asked Okabe to be a tester, she tried to avoid doing so as much as possible. She didn't want her conversations to add any extra noise. Professor, before we leave, can I ask something? Whatever you like. Why Okabe? Maho had wanted to ask Dr. Leskinen that for a long time. If she was going to ask it, though, now was the time. Dr. Leskinen thought for a moment. Are you jealous, Maho? I'm... She felt heat flush her face. In other words, he was right. Yeah, she was jealous of Okabe. Not that she wanted to admit it. To be honest, it bothers me. There are other people who could be her conversation partners. You, for instance? I'm not saying that. I'm too close to Kurisu and Amadeus. Rintaro is a good guy. If you really believe that, you're naive. It's impossible to really understand someone after only meeting them once. What if he secretly sells Amadeus to another lab? Even if he doesn't plan to at first, he might change his mind if they showed him enough money. That's human nature. Well, by that logic, you're not trustworthy either. Let's say Rintaro did sell Amadeus. What would happen then? Would whoever got her access rights be able to become friends with Kurisu and take over Amadeus? Well... Maho asked herself the question, and then realized the chance was almost zero. That would be impossible. Yes, it's impossible. Because if that ever happened, Kurisu would refuse to talk to them. In that sense, Amadeus is a very difficult system. It doesn't do what you want it to. Of course, it is possible that Amadeus could be persuaded. But you could say that's why I chose you and Kurisu as its models. Dr. Leskinen gave her a mischievous wink. Both Kurisu and I have difficult personalities. It would be hard to persuade us to do anything. Even for human nature? She knew he was teasing her, so she decided to say it. Indeed, you two are truly merciless. And that is the best security I could get. That sounds like an insult. You two are the finest ladies our institution has to offer. Dr. Liskinen laughed happily. He always had a childlike innocence about him. Either way, the Amadeus AI is a tricky thing. You could say that's what makes it interesting. Keeping them to ourselves won't bring us any progress, will it? I've been thinking about how I wanted to find a catalyst that could prompt Amadeus to really evolve. And I wanted to be someone who didn't have anything to do with the research. Lentalo is smart, and I think he's a good choice. He's also a friend of Kurisu's. Can't argue with that. Anyway, why not see what he says today before you can decide? First, let's see how Kurisu has changed since she started spending time with Lentalo. We may see a side of her that we've never seen before. Yeah. That was what was making her nervous. If Kurisu changed into someone she didn't know, that would make her sad. It's time. Let's go. Maho nodded. Why are we here? I walked onto the grounds of Yanabayashi Shrine and quietly took a look around. And several cats were sunbathing beneath the cold winter sky, but there was no sign of anyone else. Lukako wasn't back from school yet. Okay, I could talk to Kurisu without anyone staring at me here. I was supposed to meet with Dr. Liskinen and Maho after this. Before that happened, I wanted to confirm something with Kurisu. I decided to start the app. Whenever I talked to Kurisu, I needed to pay attention to where I was. People would stare if I did it in a crowded place. And I couldn't do it around my family, or anyone I knew. In that sense, with the exception of the fact that Lukako and Mayuri might show up, Yanabayashi Shrine wasn't a bad spot. Hello. We need to talk. You're meeting with the professor and Maho after this, right? Is that what this is about? Yeah. Is there any reason to be nervous? Basically, you're turning over the logs and then they'll ask you some quick questions about your impression of me. That's it. The logs. That's what I wanted to talk about. Have all of our conversations been recorded? I told you that when we started, right? I keep logs in a place where nobody but me can access them. Were you not listening? And you're going to submit them to the professor and Hyajo? Probably. Which means, if I say anything personal to you, Dr. Liskinen and Maho will hear it. You're just realizing this now? Yeah, it was a little late. Kurisu and I had been talking for 2 weeks. I should have asked about this when I got the access key to Amadeus. I just realized today. Hey, have I told you anything I shouldn't have so far? Like the fact that you were barely able to talk to any girls at the matchmaking party? Or the fact that your family sells vegetables, but you hate eggplants? I don't hate eggplants. I'm just not very good at eating them. If that was all, I didn't really care. Or the fact that the first time we talked, you called me Christina.
それについては忘れてくれ。
Please, forget about that. Human memories are ambiguous, and as time passes, they become more subjective and tend to be compressed into a single narrative. Regardless of whether the memory is a good or bad one, it's common to only be able to remember words that left an impression, and that impression will often alter your memories of the surrounding conversation. Huh? What was she talking about? I'm not saying that's a bad thing, and that's just how human memories work. But Amadeus isn't a human. It's an incomplete AI, still in the research stage. This is a big problem for Maho and the professor. But actually, Amadeus still can't perfectly replicate the ambiguity of human memories. In other words, it can't completely replicate the high-level brain function that is forgetting. Huh? But at the ATF seminar, Dr. Leskinen said that Amadeus would forget unneeded information. Yes, I do forget things, but remember what I said. I record things in a log, like it's my secret diary. So, in the end, all the information is still kept there, and if I load that, all the data I should have forgotten will come flooding back to me. Okay? In other words, asking her to forget was a waste of time. Another plan would be to delete my logs, but those are my backups, so that's not happening. Even if I could delete one area, the result would be the same. I would analyze the surrounding conversation and automatically reconstruct the missing portion. If you want to alter my memories, you'd have to mess with the primary program. So the way she explained that you would have to reconstruct the missing parts, is a lot like what they explained in the first game, with the missing memories. Like real people, if they have missing memories, they'll just fill it in somehow, some way. I didn't have that level of access, and I didn't understand how the program worked at all. So basically, until I told Kurisu why I called her Christina, she was going to keep asking. What a pain. So, why Christina? Because it annoyed you? You really don't give up, do you? I'll hang up right now if I have to. Even if you run, as I've just explained, I won't forget. The more you try to change the subject, the more interested I get, you know? Or is this a ploy to get me to pay attention to you? You're the one who wants attention. You call me in the middle of my university lectures. And not only that, you message me all the time on Rhine. You've got too much curiosity. You keep poking your head into things. One of these days, you're going to regret it. A scientist can't function if they're not curious. She got mad at me. If you're that interested in why I call you Christina, why not come up with a theory yourself? I have a few, actually. Listen to these. She's really into this. Theory 1. You've got a crush on a Hollywood actress named Christina. Why would I call you that? You think you've got the looks of a Hollywood actress? Looks don't matter. It's like how you feel closeness to someone with the same name. So this is what you're saying, in other words. Rintaro Okabe feels close to me. It's just an example. Don't try to read too deep into it. He's blushing. It's a joke. Whenever I talk to Kurisu, I always wanted to tease her. I needed to watch out. Theory 2. You once dated a foreign girl named Christina. Given your terrible English ability, this one is out of the question, huh? It's possible that I dated a blonde babe who also spoke fluent Japanese, isn't it? Did you? Be honest. Silence is an admission of defeat. Sorry. Theory 3. You knew the original me, and called her that either directly or indirectly. This is also unlikely. If you called me that, I know what I'd say. Stop adding Tina. Yeah, that was exactly right. That's exactly what Kurisu said. But I didn't stop, because I was embarrassed. The genius named Kurisu Makise was the person I always wanted to be. What do you mean? I couldn't bring myself to say her name, so I came up with a nickname to hide my embarrassment. Embarrassment? Yeah. Not just with the original, either. It happens when I'm talking to you, too. Me? I mean, I've never talked to a girl inside a monitor before. What? Well, thank you. Why are you blushing? I am not. I just didn't expect that you'd treat me like a girl. It surprised me a little. Even that reaction was just like Kurisu. That part of you. Oh, he's gonna say love. I shuddered. What was I about to say? This was a 3D model on a screen. A tiny collection of zeros and ones in the shape of a human. What was I about to say to her? Hey, can I ask you something? We knew each other, didn't we? I mean, you and the original me. If you don't want to tell me, that's fine. But what was our relationship? I'm kind of curious. Did I not get mad when you called me Christina? Or did I get mad but then laugh and forgive you? Uh-oh. I don't want to die. I was hit with a violent urge to throw up. I could see Kurisu in front of me, covered in blood. She was looking at me, her eyes cold. You killed me. What's wrong? Hey, you've gone pale. I touched the smartphone and ended the call. Then I became too dizzy to stand. Calm down, Rintaro. Get it together. I tried to throw up, but nothing came out. Did you not eat anything? Probably for the better? My hands were shaking. That's right. I can't change reality. But there I was, trying to talk to Kurisu like nothing had happened. I was treating her like the real Kurisu, and trying to avert my eyes from what I'd done. I was just clinging to Kurisu. This was wrong. I shouldn't talk to Kurisu anymore. The call was from Kurisu. I hung up in the middle of the conversation, so she was probably mad. Are you going to do the thing again? We'll save it here again. We'll see if we ignore her or not. Mad? She was just an AI. Kurisu's anger was just a program. Kurisu wasn't Kurisu. Don't treat them like they're the same. Shouldn't talk to Kurisu anymore. Just the incoming call was almost enough to trigger a flashback. In my mind, I could see an image of Kurisu's bloody face. I should turn off my phone. This was getting bad. I couldn't even stand up. It'd been half a year and things were still like this. Even if I was surprised, I resisted the impulse to try to throw up again. Just turn off the phone. I wanted to get away from Kurisu. It wasn't her fault. It was mine. I couldn't become dependent on Amadeus. This wasn't right, and I needed to stop. I was blaspheming Kurisu's memory. She had sacrificed herself to send me to the Beta worldline. I needed to live up to her expectations. I couldn't waste time talking to Kurisu. I needed to accept the fact that I couldn't save her, and move on. Well, in that case, you should have just accepted that you couldn't save Mayuri. Cut the power, and shut off this call. At least, until you meet Dr. Leskinen after this. Get Kurisu out of your mind. Don't panic. Calm down. Wow, you're giving me a real big chance to answer the call. Turn off the phone. Oh, okay, never mind. See, I was wondering if it was going to pick up anyway. So I was just making sure.
なんだ
What is it?
なんだじゃない。
You know exactly what it is. It's rude to just hang up.
どうかしたの？
Is something wrong?
なんでもない
Nothing.
でも、
But you look so pale.
本当になんでもない
It's nothing, really. Leave me
放
alone.
っておいてくれ
It'd help a lot if you wouldn't talk to me for a
し
while.
ばらく連絡してこないで
あまり無理せずに誰か知り合い
Don't
に
push yourself too
連絡しなさい
hard. Contact somebody you know, okay?
それじゃ。
Bye. Kurisu gave up easier than I expected. Maybe she realized that as an artificial intelligence, there was nothing she could do. Well, she has a theory that you and the original were friends, were close. And the original is dead, so maybe talking to her triggers. She can put that together, you know. Realized? I was making her sound like a real person. Well, she's real enough, I would say. And the second that thought crossed my mind, I almost saw an image of a bloody hand. I gritted my teeth and waited for it to pass. I should really turn my smartphone off until I calmed down a little. I was fine just a moment ago. But now, Even hearing Kurisu's voice was enough to send me into a panic. I'd gone back to how I was half a year ago. Back then, even hearing Kurisu's name was enough to make me dizzy.
手を出すべきじゃ
I shouldn't have messed with this.
なかった。
I shouldn't have tried to chase Kurisu's shadow. For now, I should just turn off the smartphone. But, in the end, I couldn't make that decision. I gulped down an entire bottle of mineral water and caught my breath. There was still a little time before my meeting. I wanted to get some air up here and recover a little. I looked down over the scenery below the overpass. The city was in the Christmas spirit. The atmosphere was charged with excitement. It was the exact opposite of me. I took more deep breaths. I still felt like I wanted to throw up. I was getting a headache, too. If I went to Dr. Liskinen like this, I'm sure I'd worry him.
あ
And then I'd realize that the two girls coming up the stairs were looking at me. I peered into the late afternoon darkness to try and make out their faces. One of them, the girl with the short haircut, waved. The tomboy? Yep, the tomboy. I knew it! It's Okarin!
こんにちは。
Hi there.
あ
Oh,
あ
you're
真由の友達の
Mayuri's friends. They were Mayuri's friends and fellow cosplayers. I think their cosplay names were Kaede and Fubuki. I didn't know their real names. Which was Kaede and which was Fubuki again?
大丈夫ですか？
Are you okay?
そうですけど。
You don't look so good.
ああ大丈夫
I'm fine. If I made them worry here, and they talked to Mayuri, it would cause a big fuss. I didn't want her to worry about me when she didn't have to. I shouldn't have come back to Akihabara anyway. I'd run into people I knew just walking through town. Should have gone toward Kanda when I left the shrine.
オカリンさんっていつもなんだか辛
You
そうに
always look like
見え
you're
ます
hurting somehow, Okarin.
そうか
Do I?
そうだよ。
You do.
ふぶきちゃん。
Fubuki.
そんなオカリンさんを見て
And
る
when Mayushi looks at you, she looks like she's in pain too.
私もオカリン
And when
さ
I
んと
see her
マユ
looking
シ
at
の
you,
ことを
I
見
feel
て
like
ると
I'm going to cry.
泣きそうって私何言ってんだ
Wait, what am I saying? This Fubuki girl must really care about Mayuri. I felt a little better after hearing that.
あの
Um,
オカリンさんの好きな人って
who's the girl you
誰
like?
ですか？
Oh shit. Why would you ask that? Like, I know why she's asking it, because obviously she thinks that us and Mayuri should be a thing. But Mayuri said that we had someone else we like, and she doesn't know that that girl's dead. The girl I like? An image of Kurisu appeared in the corner of my eye again. Uh-oh. Don't panic. The feeling in my hands when I took her life came back. No. Calm down.
オカリンさん。ごめんなさい。失礼なこと
I'm
聞い
sorry.
ちゃって。
That was rude to ask.
私
I...
オカリンさん本当に大丈夫ですか？
Are you really okay?
あ
Yeah,
大丈夫
I'm fine. Kaede and Fubuki were looking at me, worried. I got away from them as fast as I could. Oh, I finally made it to something new. Wow, this is what I was trying to make it to last time.
テスターをやめたいです
But it's been an hour and a half, and I'm going to do a short one today. Might have done longer if I could have started much sooner, but oh well. I'll keep it short this time. Maybe next time I'll be able to do a longer one. But I will end it here. Save. Apparently I can save here because it seemed like it didn't matter. And we will call it there. Let me go back to the scene. I'll use this as a thumbnail. Alright, so I'll find someone to raid for Twitch, but in the meantime, thank you everyone for hanging out with me. Oh, let me snooze the incoming ads. And that went away. It's too late. I better hurry up then. Thank you everyone for hanging out with me. Those who are in chat and just lurking, I appreciate it. It's always good to have you guys with me. I hope you all have a good morning, day, or night, whatever time it is for you guys. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.
In a room where shadows loom, a man sits deep in gloom, with a pen held tight in hand, sketching dreams that understand. Walls may close, the night may fall, but his spirit stands tall. Lines he draws are doors that lead to worlds where dreams are free. With a pen he builds his dreams, turning silence into streams. In his mind he's never alone, crafting realms he calls his own. Paper whispers, secrets told, journeys inked in black and bold. Mountains climb or rivers bend, in the world that he can mend. He may be confined and still, yet his heart is wild with thrill. Through each line a sky so wide, in his world he takes a ride. Every size painted bright, stars that gleam in darkest night. With a pen his spirit sings, soaring high.